Okay, going to work out a problem that came off of my math lab, section 3.6 number 1. I just copied down the relevant information about it. As you can see, it tells me that the sine of theta is 2/9 and that theta is between 0 and pi over 2, which implies that theta is in quadrant 1, which is critical for some of the stuff that we're doing. So I want to find the sine of 2 theta. Well, sine of 2 theta is 2 sine theta cosine theta, and that came off of my formula sheet. And so I have sine of theta mentioned in the problem. I just need to find cosine of theta. Well, again, first quadrant, not standard angle. So we'll draw a triangle and say, well, for sine to be 2/9, that would look like this. And I need this value here. So x squared plus 2 squared equals 9 squared. So x squared, which would be equal to 81 minus the 4 from that side, which is 77. So x would be root 77. Root 77. So now that would make, in that case, that would make the cosine of theta root 77/9. So now we just go back and plug into our formula. 2 times 2/9 times root 77/9, which is 2 times 2 is 4, which is 4 times root 77/9 times 9. So there's my answer. So all you have to do is calculate sine and cosine of that angle and then decide which formula to use. Okay, what about the sine of theta over 2? Well, in this case, it's not too bad. We know that this is true from the beginning, that theta is in the first quadrant. Well, the sine of theta over 2 is equal to plus or minus root 1 plus minus cosine. I had to look at my formula sheet there, over 2. Well, how do we decide if it's plus or minus? Well, we go back to this thing here and we divide everything here by 2 because we're not looking for theta, we're looking for theta over 2. So 0 divided by 2 is still 0, and then I have theta over 2 and pi over 4, which tells me that this angle, theta over 2, is also quadrant 1. If it wasn't and your original statement was different, you still do the same thing that I did here to find out where that angle is. Well, now I know that it's positive because it is quadrant 1. So all we're doing now is plugging in. So we're talking about the square root of 1 minus cosine, which was root 77/9 all over 2. And so we can probably simplify this a little by looking at 1, which would be 9 minus root 77/9 all over 2. We can combine these into root 9 minus root 77/18. And I think that's about as good as we can get it as far as reducing it. We can't do anything with the 9 and 18 because of the minus sign there. If 18 doesn't go into both, or if they don't have a common factor with this one and this one, we can't take it out. So that would be the answer to that problem. Make sure that you determine which quadrant the original angle is and find, like we've done before, the values for the missing sides and the trig functions. And then for the half angles, that's where you have to decide where that half angle falls, which quadrant, and that'll determine which of the trig functions is positive and or negative.